I had a fear of the Rona and I wasn't vaccinated, would I go out and risk it and go to a theater to see this movie? No. So in today's video, I thought I'd do something different. Like, I decided to review this movie because I reviewed movies before, but I've only done like 3 times, and I only posted it to my YouTube page. I didn't post it, to every platform like I usually do with my other stuff. But it's getting to a case where I always post, little small, ratings on Instagram and let people know about it. So, I'm running out of things to talk about. So, figured I might as well talk about Spiral. And on top of that, since I've started back going to the theaters, because now it's like they kind of have something to show each week. Not much, but they're coming back. I figured might as well just do something fresh. And just to give you a heads up about my rating system. My rating system usually isn't on the basis of don't see this movie. It's just kind of how I feel about the movie. Like sometimes, I'll give a movie like 21 Bridges a 6. And, people will respond to me and say like, oh, I guess I can't watch it. This movie's no good. It's not the case. It's just like, sometimes, not all of them gonna be great. And if you ever need clarity for what a rating means, just look at this picture right here. As long as it's not a 1, I think you're good. All right, now that we set the rules and got all that out of the way, let's dig in. So the movie Spiral stars Chris Rock and kinda Samuel L. Jackson. Chris Rock plays a detective, and he's trying to solve a string of cop murders that have been happening in the city lately. That take inspiration from the Jigsaw killings, so all the Saw movies. And in typical Saw fashion, people are getting killed in the most creative, if not, cartoonish of ways, and Chris Rock has to figure out who is doing all this. So I never really watched any of the previous Saw movies. I saw the first one when it came out, like, in 2004, and I was only about 8 around then, and we rented it, and only thing I remember from that is the dude cut his foot off at the end. Spoiler alert. I wasn't on the bandwagon to watch Saw 2 through 9 because at that point it was like, I don't do scary movies like that. But if you're ever trying to sell me on a scary movie, basically what you gotta do is just throw Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson in it, and then
now you have my attention.
So what I liked about this movie is probably not supposed to be like I said, Chris Rock's in it, and Chris Rock is known as a comedian. Chris Rock is funny in this movie. And, it's not like he's just cracking jokes or anything, like Head of State or anything. But, he still has that Chris Rock energy. The first 10-20 minutes of it, I could see that he was like in a different zone. The whole movie, he's kind of like a different layer of Chris Rock, When I first saw him do a serious role a couple years ago back in Empire, I was like, he can't really take Chris Rock seriously. And then also the show was Empire, so, there's that. But I see that was just a precursor to Chris Rock, kind of, I guess, evolving in his career because, I think in 2014, so a year before he was on Empire, that he did that movie Top 5, which is a really good movie. It's not a horror movie, it's not a drama, but it's more of a serious Chris Rock and it's believable. And then you see that again last year watching that show Fargo, where he was basically played a mob boss throughout the whole season, and he was pretty convincing in that. Which gets us to this point where it's like, seeing Chris Rock as a detective, as a serious detective, I can actually take that seriously. But at the same time, in this movie, the dialogue and just what he says is still funny. His reactions, they're still kind of funny. And it's not even just Chris Rock. It's like the whole movie itself is kind of funny because these cops make some of the dumbest decisions I've seen. And even finding out the killer is like, it's a twist, but if you've seen movies before, you kind of see the clues that something ain't right with how this is going out, and they really try to sell you on it. And then when they show it to you, you just be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, duh, that makes sense. And on top of that, the movie really isn't even scary. Like, I know what I've heard from Saw movies is that they eventually turn to a part of torture porn, and that honestly is what it was. But at the same time, there wasn't that much torture, or there was no puzzles. There weren't a lot of puzzles that would just kill people in this thing. Of course, don't get it twisted, like some people got fucked up, but it's still the point. I would expect more from it. And on top of that, some of the traps just look like you could kind of get out of it if you just were more flexible. Like, one of the traps was like, all the guy had to do was basically just take his legs out the tub and he probably would have been okay. He probably would have been stuck for a long time, but I think he could have survived it. But of course, I'm built different, so don't listen to me. And even some of the flashback sequences that they have in the movie, like, they kind of feel like a Saturday Night Live sketch of a Law and Order episode, because there's a part in the movie that's it's very crucial, so they play it like a couple times. And the only thing I could think in my mind when I left the theater was like, a witness? Like, if you see it, you understand what I'm talking about. But the way it was just shot and cut and everything, it just, after seeing it for, the umpteenth time, it started getting kind of funny to me. Which then leads to the ending of the movie. And, this movie was filmed, pre-pandemic. So, a lot of ideas that came from it, I guess they could be relatable in 2021, and well, hell, they could be relatable to 2016, 2012, and all the other 20s and 1990s and 1600s. But the point of the matter is, it's like, I kind of see what they were doing with the ending, but at the same time, everything just felt rushed. And like, the end of the movie is like just the end of the movie. Like, it just ends abruptly. And I remember sitting in the chair and just looking at the screen, and when the credits started going on, I couldn't help but let out, what the hell was that? Like, it was very shocking. Like, yeah, like, I saw what they were trying to do. It was kind of like they were trying to do a mic drop, but it wasn't really a mic drop. It was kind of like somebody bust up in my house, had the mic, dropped it, and left. I think that's exactly how I felt. Yeah, now that I think about it, that's exactly how I felt. So all in all, Spiral was cool. So 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. If you don't want to go out to the movie theater, this is not the movie to risk going out to a movie theater in this day and age. But if you kind of just, been watching all the other Saw movies and you just want to see a continuation of it, which is not really a continuation, it's kind of like a spin-off, so like, cinematic universe type thing. If you just want to see some people get effed up, hey, go for it. So that's the video for today, guys. So if you have any suggestions for any other movies you probably want to see me ramble about, just leave them in the comments, let me know. Like I said, it could be old, it could be new. Like I said, movies are really coming back now, so it gives me something more to talk about. And, I love them, so if there was ever an excuse to talk about some movies, I'm here for it. So yeah, just let me know. Or not. It's your choice. Completely consensual.
Kill him. Make it loud and make it long.
Everybody, hey!